Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. Here on The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and interview them on issues that matter to you. Well, the show tonight is a bit different. We're celebrating a legend, a man whose music told our story. Charles Kojo Fosu, a.k.a. Daddy Lumba, that icon of a Ghanaian musician, sadly died on Saturday, June 25. Tonight, we examine his legacy and celebrate him from three very unique angles. I speak to a colleague of mine who's a music producer and also a linguist of her own who understands and interprets the songs of Daddy Lumba. We also speak to musician M.anifest, who's a rapper who obviously has some good things to say about this legend. And Professor Lloyd Amoah, I call him a political philosopher who contextualizes the life of Lumba in our time. We're live, so we'll be happy to hear from you as well as we celebrate this great icon. Stay with us.
Remember who we are seeing now. At risk of prostate enlargement. We a member or her. 20 ebitimi prostate cancer. 5 betimi afamu. Nadia ubefamu.
This is not my fault.
And to wada. Entina many Executive Prostate Center.
Executive Prostate Center is a unique medical center where we harmonize in-depth traditional medicine with cutting-edge science and technology to cure, to treat, and to prevent diseases like prostate enlargement, prostate cancer.
Executive Prostate Center. Madame home facilities no any professional medical care.
Sisi a bibia clear system no ye nro ne so de natural into we koso afama yi.
Executive Prostate Center. My cured.
Ghana, get ready! The biggest sales event of the year is back. National Sales Leaders Conference 2025, organized by Core Event Solutions, powered by MGA Consulting, and proudly supported by Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana and Association of Ghana Industries. Happening on August 19th to 21st at the Accra International Conference Center. The special guest of honor for this big event is the Chief of Staff, Honorable Julius Deborah. Join over 2,000 participants, including CEOs, Managing Directors, Sales and Marketing Heads, among others, for 3 unforgettable days of insights and high-level networking with 68 seasoned speakers tackling 25 impactful topics across various industries. This is the one event you can't afford to miss. Reserve your seats now. Visit www.nslcaccra.org or call 0502-711-070 to secure your ticket. NSLC 2025, redefining sales excellence for a dynamic market.
So tributes have been pouring in for Ghanaian music legend Charles Kojo Fosu. Started out as one of the pair, the Lumba brothers, 1989, with his friend Nana Achampong. Later became Daddy Lumba when he became a single act. And of course, we know him as DL now. Very tragic incident. We didn't hear much of any ailment, but the shocking news broke through the grapevine and on social media that on Saturday he had died. Tributes have begun pouring in, not least from people like the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, who has described that he had learnt with deep sorrow the passing of Ghanaian music legend Charles Kojo Fosu, affectionately known as Daddy Lumba. And this is what the President said: Lumba's unmatched musical genius provided a soundtrack to our lives, carrying us through various phases of life. And then, on behalf of the government of Ghana, I extend the heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones on this irreplaceable loss. He said the beats to Lumba's memorable songs might have died down, but his enduring legacy would echo through the ages. Wonderful tribute from the president. And then Akufo-Addo says, Daddy Lumba's hit songs shaped my presidential journey. That's quite profound. President Akufo-Addo has paid heartfelt tribute to legendary high-life musician Charles Kojo Fosu, popularly known as Daddy Lumba, following news of his passing on Saturday. In a Facebook post, the former president described Lumba as a dear friend and a towering figure in Ghana's music industry whose influence extended beyond entertainment into national politics. Quote, Daddy Lumba, as we affectionately call him, was a pantheon among music greats of all time and had a special connection with his fans and the entire nation, Akufo-Addo wrote. He highlighted the critical role Lumba's music played in his political life, especially during his presidential campaign, describing the late musician as, quote, his songs as lasting contributions to my presidential journey, unquote. These songs will forever be etched in the annals of the political campaign of the MPP, he added. The former president extended his condolences to the family and fans of the late icon, praying, may he peacefully rest in the bosom of the Almighty until the last day of the resurrection, when we shall meet again. More tributes have come in. We have, for example, Nane Champong, who says he's finding it difficult to come to terms with the death of his friend. Of course, the two were the Lumba brothers who broke into the Ghanaian music scene in the late 80s. Kojo Entry and a whole lot of others have been paying tribute as well. In a Facebook post, Nane Champong expressed his grief and shock at the news of Daddy Lumba's death. He says, it's been difficult for me to accept the sad news. Minua Kojo Fosu, why this shock? Nane Champong wrote, addressing Daddy Lumba by his real name. Charles, you have done what the Creator brought you on earth to do. You will forever inspire generations. All right, so what am I doing tonight? We're going to speak to different people. My colleague, Frema Adunyame, who's, I call her a Lumbalogist because I don't know. I didn't know that you did a course in Lumba lyrics.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't think so.
No, you've been, I mean.
Lumba is a life institution, a life university, you know. So his courses are his songs. So if you follow Lumba, you understand life.
How many of his 200 songs do you know?
I have not put a number to Lumba songs that I know, but quite a number.
He did 33 albums.
Yeah.
We have a list of some. I'm just going to do something very quickly, just for the sake of the moment. We have my colleague Elvis Dakun. He did a very good article on his page,
right,
where he listed almost all the songs of Daddy Lumba.
Right.
And I think it would be good to at least run through some,
of course,
before we even listen to the song. So
yeah,
he put his article up on Saturday, see the list of about 200 songs that Lumba released. And what Elvis did, which was nice, was that he took us through the years.
Okay.
So for example, first album, Yeah Can Kwentiomu, 1989 with Nane Champong.
Yeah.
All right. And then some of the songs, of course, Yeah Can Kwentiomu, Odofache, Enkonjami, Yenkantam, Abansanka, Ubeko Unko.
Yeah. Abansanka.
I'll see how many of these songs I can sing, of course. That Lumba then came out with his second album titled Obi Atimi Sobo, 1990.
Yeah.
So those of you who watched the 1990 World Cup, Obi Atimi Sobo, she and she
Exactly.
Then there's Teresa on that album. Ankwanoma, which I know you interpret.
Yeah.
Numsio chen or pe. To wait, drink water, wait for.
Good times will come.
Yeah, chen or pe. I thought you are waiting for
Hamatan.
Makuma hu tofe.
Yeah.
Mimpayabo niyo. Yeah. And then Teresa Bebrese. All that is 1990, right? Then his third album, Sikasem, 1991.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this was Lumba alone.
Lumba.
And then Ayodonti. So the Kojo is talking to himself.
You know, that's Lumba. I mean, he sings about himself.
Right.
He loves himself. He uses himself a lot, you know, and he shares a story.
Okay.
And you hear him talk about his mother. You hear him talk about where he comes from. So most of the times you hear Kone or Comfort, you hear Amasa,
Fosu,
you hear Kwadwo Fosu, you hear Charles Kwadwo Fosu, you hear Daddy Lumba, you hear Nsuta Neba, you hear, so all these things describe who he is, and he loves to talk about himself.
So we have Sika Sem on that album, Your Don't Made in Ghana, Yemfa Odo, Sewo Timia, and Ahinche. His fourth album was 92. I always use football to remember 92 because that was Barcelona.
Yeah, 92.
Black Meteors. Ohia Sem, Playboy, Min Saida.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Min Saida, yes. So Min Saida is one that he talks about the advice his mother gave him.
Okay.
And so Min Saida, for me, in looking at the whole piece, you know, when you live in a compound house, okay, so Lumba has different sides.
Okay.
Lumba, the gospel artist.
Okay.
Lumba, the lover boy.
Okay.
Lumba, the casting insinuations.
Okay.
Lumba, the litigant.
Okay.
Lumba, the campaign song guy.
Okay.
You know, so Men Saida is he trying to tell us the disciplines that his mother instilled in him.
Okay.
And for that reason, he really doesn't care about what you care about him. So at some point, he also talks about love in the same song.
Can I listen to a bit of it? Guys, can you give me a hint of that?
Men Saida.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll come back to the ones you wanted to interpret, but I felt like if they have the Men Saida, just drop it for us to hear.
Right.
Of course, on that same album. Okay, so this is the wow.
This is Tokrom album.
This is much later.
Yes.
This is much later. Okay,
yes, this is Tokrom album.
So do you have Men Saida, guys? Otherwise, can I go on? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Typical Lumba beat.
So this is the remix.
This is the remix?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So when did you do this remix?
So he did this, I think, sometime, maybe around 2000, you know. Much later with Apietus.
I thought you wanted to play the first one earlier.
The original one is there. So this came much later.
Okay, so this is the remix of Men Saida.
Exactly.
Okay, guys, just hold on. Hold on. Let me finish what I'm doing. I'll play the songs. Odobe Manamewu is on the same album. Odobe Manamewu, Namewu. Okay.
Yeah.
And then in Chenchen Wone Afe.
In Chenchen Wone Afe. Yeah.
And then something called Munsumame.
Munsumame.
We are Sifufro.
Yeah. You know, so there are some of, Lumba has quite a number.
Okay.
You know, so some are more popular than the others. Okay. Exactly. Okay. And depending on which story we are telling, then we go for specifics.
Wonderful. 92, he teamed up with Felix Owusu for his fifth album, Vida. And then there were a couple of songs, Vida and Mmefa Nkunjaime. 93, sixth album, Bibi Jijo.
Yeah.
So
this is a typical compound house. So
this is the Ekutia.
Exactly. You know.
Okay.
Exactly. So you probably thought that leaving me, I was going to die, something was going to happen to me.
Okay.
But Bibi Jojo, you know,
some people insinuated that was his reaction to Nane Champon, who sang Ankebede Nayo. So some people sort of did that.
You know, so there have been times that people felt Lumba's song was a response to Nane Champon, Lumba's song was a response to Uforian Ponsa. Okay. So for instance, his song Asantenkai.
Okay.
Asante didin so Asantenkai, or therefore Yineboafwa ma. You know, yeah, friend no brego. So he goes on to say that enima ye disikano, enye no ane ditua. When somebody is coming for loan,
he will change his face.
The face he comes with a loan.
So he was saying that somebody has repaid him.
You know, so it's probably, so people have interpreted it to mean that he held Uforian Ponsa, you know, but later. But when I spoke with Uforian Ponsa on Upside Down, he said there's no issue. He doesn't think it was about him. You know how people interpret songs. And Lumba will never come out to say anything. So he always leaves it to his fans to interpret it and use it the best way suitable.
Wow. So there was 93 Bibi Jijo, Makramo, which you say is very prophetic.
Very, pretty much. I mean, if you listen to Makramo, you know, it talks more of death, and the challenges, and if one day I'm no longer available, I'm not around,
Okay.
you know, what you should do, and you know, because on and all that. But I don't think I mean, I've read on social media people thinking that, oh, Lumba was prophesying, you know.
Yeah.
That song is a very old one.
So this is a song he sang.
And if you pay attention to Lumba's songs, he has quite a number of songs that you probably might also think that it is your song.
I get it.
So if you play it at every funeral, it will make a lot of sense.
I get it.
Exactly.
I'll come to 95, then I'll talk to my other guests, but I'll let you do interpretation of one song before I talk to M.anifest and Lloyd Amoah, who I know are listening patiently. Still in the 93 album, Bibi Jijo, we had Enye Nyame Din Tijai Su. And then me dream me ho, and then me pese wasem, me pe wasem be brave, me pe wasem be brave. Wonderful. Now, the song that I wanted you to help me interpret was Ankwanoma, because you said it was a very typical hustler's anthem.
Yes.
A lot of people didn't know that he was singing for that crowd, those of us who don't understand tree. Right. So guys, if you have Ankwanoma, if you can drop it for me, Frema explain it to me, then I'll speak to. Yeah. All right. Look at the cassette.
It's called Michael Jackson song. Yeah.
All right. All right. At this Odonti Obiatimisobo. At this the very best. Okay. So this is let the song play a bit, and then you can help me understand it. Can you hear? He usually would do his first two intros before he starts. Wow. All right, so guys, let's talk a bit about this. So what was he saying?
Also, I mean, this bit is just he talking about Ankwanoma, you know, made me cry about for it. Me yedi me to me, memory swan na me call, you know. So as a hustler, you know, trying to succeed, facing all the challenges, all I can do is to do my bit. I can only sacrifice and help family, do what I have to do, and at the right time, or when my time is up, I'll bow out. So when you go deeper into the song, he talks about Obi bine abubunia anka obeto ekuma amano. He's talking about the abubunia is a woodpecker. You know, they use their beak to break the tree.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you stand back, you ask yourself, but why did God create the woodpecker like
now
that?
Just be hurting itself.
Exactly.
Trying
you
to
know,
get something to eat.
But that is its destiny. That is how it was created. Wow. So Lumba is saying that if you were related to the woodpecker, you would have bought an axe for it, because the work he's doing is very dangerous. And so Charles, this is my destiny.
Wow.
And then it goes on to say that a sukonoma, you know, a young guy, a kwanya menemu ehu, according to mun sem yenka, and can say ya my breme hobi, you know. So you do not tell everything you encounter when you pursue on set life journeys. So if I was to tell what I've seen, you would have known I'm struggling. I've really worked hard. Then it goes on with Nankwansre. And then me penisen kamesensen hona miti form. Nankwansre is the bat. Okay. You know, the bat hangs upside down. And sometimes I'm sure when the bat sees other birds, it will question, why am I hanging upside down? But this is your destiny. This is how you were created. You know, so he talks about all the difficulties that you go through and the fact that it looks like a yameshebre. So I'm hustling, I'm doing all that. He comes back to talk about ebusuya ofrim. You know, ebusuya mifrim, emwebienim, there's no help. And that is how come I'm locked up.
So the Ankwanoma is like a lonely bird
so
or something.
the Ankwanoma, you know, you break it into two.
Yeah.
Ankonam and Anoma.
Okay.
So is more of a solitary bird.
I see.
You know, finding survival. You have to eat, but you are a loner. People have also compared or likened it to the eagle.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's probably because of how the eagle goes so high, all alone. We all say that it's lonely on the top, you know. So you are just all alone, trying to survive and all that. But in the context of Nkwanoma as the song, he's talking about his challenges, his struggles.
But he laces it in a lot of hidden words. So like, I thought I spoke Twi. But when I listen to the guy, I have no idea what he's saying.
That is what makes Daddy Lumba unique. You know, he understands the language and he plays with language. And he communicates in a way that if you do not get the sense of what he's saying, he uses the rich language, very ornamental.
So Lumba can be talking to you, and I, a Twi speaker, will be sitting there and understand nothing.
You won't understand. You won't understand.
But he's still speaking Twi.
He's speaking Twi. So, for instance,
give me an example in this song.
Okay, so in Nkwanoma, he says that. So at a point he goes to Makantam se meyebi abu ebusuafo. Okay, but mebusua mi free money there. Amanfo se ompa depa. Oma kantam di nse se odefo nwoma ene ye de benwene twene. Exactly. What does that mean? Exactly. So spiritually, those who understand spiritual things explain that, you know, when witches go for their meeting, they always look at the prominent person. So they look at the prominent person, and when a prominent person is killed in the witches' camp, when they are killed, they do not eat the meat. So they use the skin of the prominent person to carve the drum. So in the night, they play the drum, exactly, and rejoice,
that's what
and
he was
also
saying?
to call. So
and this is still within Nkwanoma context?
Yes, still in Nkwanoma. So this is what he says that Oma Kantame Dinsi said, therefore, Nguma.
Wow.
The skin, Nguma, therefore, Nguma. I mean, a great person, therefore. And he also goes on to talk about the fact that Nipa ebeji ni din, Nipa mepe nyinche. You need to leave a mark. Today we sit here, we are all talking about the fact that
you live, how
your
long
impact,
you live. Wow.
The legacy that you are living. Today we sit here to talk about Daddy Lumba. He's left a legacy. But in that same Nkwanoma, at the latter part, he also talks about the fact that he attended Ike Nyaku's funeral. And then Nana Mpedu dance for Nana Mpedu is his witness. So when he saw the way people were crying, you know, for the man and Utmusa Wabobra, so he also told himself that Odibetu Nehofo.
Wow.
I mean, I need to work so that
all
one
of that
day,
is in this song?
Yes, one day if I'm not here, people would also hail me. People will call my name and all the good things. And that is when he goes on to talk about Charles Alenjima.
All in this song?
Ghana Video City. Exactly. Amazing. Yeah. So this is Daddy Lumba for you. In a space of about 4 minutes or 5 minutes, he tells a whole life story, you know. And
that's incredible.
And this is a piece that those who traveled back then to to find ends meet, they can resonate very well with this. So he spoke for them, because almost all of them, you would hear stories like, I sent money back home for properties to be done for me. I came back, there was nothing. Wow. Some can't even come home because they've sold family property to take you abroad. Why are you coming back? You know.
Let me pause on the interpretations and speak to Professor Lloyd Amoah briefly. He penned a very thought-provoking tribute to Daddy Lumba, and he described Lumba in about 9 words. He says he's an icon, he's a legend, master musician, hit maker, serial award winner, poet, philosopher, trendsetter, crooner, balladeer, and patriot. Prof. Lloyd Amoah, good evening. Thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thank you, Bernard. Happy to be with you.
My God. Look, Frema is taking me through a Lumba school, but for you, a very well erudite Ekwapim man, I'm sure you appreciate Lumba's music in the depth that he presented it, right? So that in describing him, in the words you chose, what made Lumba special in your view?
Well, I mean, it was the 1980s. You know, I came of age in the 1980s. And essentially, we, in many ways saw, in a sense, the evolution of Ghanaian music.
Okay.
High life had been the dominant form, you know, in the 70s. And then in the 80s, all of a sudden, this, you know, Bugger high life essentially popped up. And it was Eko Tibrofo, through the, you know, fantastic mind and creativity of George Daku, also an Equiaping man, who literally invented that genre. And Eko Tibrofo was in a sense the anthem of Bugger high life. But we have to situate the emergence of Bugger high life, as Frema noted rightly, within the context of what had happened in the 1980s.
Okay.
Jerry Rawlings had taken power. Ghana was caught in the throes of trying to deal with its economic realities. And so we went to the World Bank and IMF, the SAP, ERP, and that in many ways tightened the noose around, you know, life in Ghana, Accra, and the other cities. Now, the effect, which in many ways was also a reflection of what had happened in the 70s under Champon, Ignatius, too, was that many Ghanaians left Ghana in search of, you know, a better life. And the creatives also left, because by the 1980s under Rawlings,
Curfew.
there was a few, you know, and I remember as a growing up boy, the ways in which you had to rush back to the house by 6 and all of that. The effect was that it fundamentally crashed nightlife. And so the creatives, especially the musicians, could not do their gigs and the rest of them. So they left, you know, but many of them went to Germany, especially on account of the quite liberal immigration policy. And that is where, you know, George Daku, Lumba, and the rest of them, essentially they surged. But that coincided with the whole electronic boom in music production and the rest of them. And then they created Bugger High Life. And then Lumba, after the George Daku era, pops up in the 90s. So in a sense, he was the heir of the Bugger move. And what is unique and interesting, I think, for me, is that while George Daku, Lidodu, and the rest of them,
Charles
in
Amoah.
a sense, by the time we got to, Charles Amoah, G-Man, and the rest of them, kind of, G-Man, you know, the problems he went into. But the rest of them, by the 90s, they had kind of pulled back a bit, right? But, you know, Daddy Lumba emerged and then continued. And he actually never stopped till he kind of passed, you know. So he remained relevant. And in a sense, even at a point, it was hard to say. Maybe M.anifest, who is more of the technical man, would tell us whether he was actually doing Bugger High Life or I don't know what it is that he was doing as we got into the 2000s and the rest of them. So here is a guy, his discography is completely mind-boggling. 22 albums. I mean, and that is why, in a sense, he remained fresh. He continued to, you know, engage, you know, even new acts who are establishing themselves and who also go down in history, like M.anifest and Sako Die, Reggie Rackstone, and the rest of them. He continued to engage them, work with them, you know, produced or nurtured others, and that's Daddy Lumba.
So from what Frema explained to me in the morning, it seems as if Lumba did Bugger High Life from 89 to around 97ish. Then he had some sort of personal problem and did some gospel. Then when he finished the gospel, he did a new album called Back for Good. That's when he began to do the more contemporary beats. So the Abinwa 98 was the reinvention of Lumba. So after he's born again, so his Mesum Jesus was how he ended his Bugger High life. And then Abinwa was because the Abinwa became like the beat that Abinwa was more contemporary. Maybe let me ask M.anifest what he thinks, because M.anifest, you're a musician. And I know you listen a lot to musicians. it seems to me as if there was a certain re-emergence of the guy in the late 90s. So let me welcome you first to the show before I even go straight to the question. M.anifest, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Yes.
No, good to have you. As a fellow musician, I'm sure his death hits you in a different way because the man is no longer here, but his songs are still speaking. So for you, the musicians, it's a different conversation. But we're basically trying to see the man's evolution. And it seems to me as if he's reinvented himself many times. I don't know whether that's also part of your own reflection on his life.
Well, first of all, condolences to his family. And yeah, it's a great loss. But of course, from everything that's being said today, it's a celebration of all the incredible gifts that he shared with the world. But I guess to answer the question directly, you know, I don't say it lightly when I say he's a one of one. And there are very few musicians in life who manage to transcend genre, right? They might begin somewhere, but they manage to transcend genre. And I think with almost 4 decades of work, at least three plus decades, Lumba literally transcended genre. So it became more Daddy Lumba. So yes, you can associate him with Bugger High Life, different versions of High Life. He was prolific. He was relevant through different eras. But just like a Sade or other people, at some point they become beyond genre. They transcend it. So Sade will start from lavish rock, etc. But they start embodying things larger than life. The legend and the output, it starts to transcend genre, and that's exactly what Lumba was, right? So you can look at the origins of Bugger High Life, wonderful, wonderful, but by the time he left us, and after over 30 years of musical output, his extraordinary creative intelligence, the ability to do this kind of very Asante high life on these electronic funk beats. You know, when you hear any of those beats by themselves, you will not be immediately inspired to storytell or you do this kind of singing that he did on them. So that's already innovation, being able to smash these worlds together. And I think throughout his career, he was able to do that without ever having to chase a trend, but still being aware of what's going on. You know, the other day, my friend Mali was, one of the songs he loves is not even like, it's like a Lumba feature where he comes at the end, the one I think with the Borax guy, I see her or something of the sort.
Yeah.
But even in different eras where different beats were emerging, Lumba still appeared as himself, and so in the last 2 decades, there's still there's still like there's still so many things in different eras. So it becomes a Daddy Lumba sound, right? Which is, as Frema, I think, articulated so eloquently. It's like he's like different. He changes the zeitgeist. There's different Lumbas there. Ekutia Lumba. There's this Lumba when he's singing Bubra or when he's singing different things. So I think ultimately, when I say he's one of one, I don't say it lightly because I literally believe that he's one of those few musicians that passed through life and managed to transcend the genre that they came through or that they ever practiced in. So Daddy Lumba is Daddy Lumba regardless of genre.
Wow. How tough is it to survive in that kind of thing? You're saying it's not the genre, it's the man. So whatever Lumba touches is what Lumba is. So he cannot be limited. Are there any other musicians from Ghana you can put in that bracket if I were to press you?
Well, it might be an unfair comparison because everybody has different gifts. And it would be a tough thing to say from the top of my head. I think that's what is another thing that makes it special. Other musicians have been also very successful, Kojo, etc., for decades as well. But there's something about Lumba through different eras that is that is not him chasing relevance, it's him reappearing and being relevant without trying. Because what his music spoke about, the content, as Frema was describing. It's incredible. Look, there were Lumba songs that we used to hear when we were children. Bernard, that whilst you were going through the list, I'm like, I can remember the instrumental part, the boom, 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 boom. Or me say that the guitar, dun, 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 like, you can remember all these things exquisitely because the combination of what he was speaking about and what he chose as the canvas to paint on just gave it a certain kind of special. So even though there were peers that did similar things, there's so much in the Lumba law in terms of sound, in terms of content, that is just, I mean, it's kind of everlasting in its own way. So it's difficult to pigeonhole it.
Yeah. But as a lyricist, how because I know that when I listen to your songs, you take... Okay, yeah. Okay, Lloyd, you want to come in before I continue with this?
That in terms of comparators, or, you know, people you can compare him with within the Ghanaian artistic creative space, I want to insist that he didn't come from a vacuum, right? He came from, you know, generations before him, who had appeared and gripped the world, right? So somebody like Guy Warren with his jazz, you know, that went global, you know, E.T. Mensah with the tempos and ramblers that gripped West Africa, Osibisa that rocked the world. You know, so Lumba has done his part, but we must connect him to that pantheon of Ghanaian greats who rocked the world. You know, so he occupies his space within that rarefied context, and deservedly so.
Even though his music wasn't necessarily...
There are others with equally unbelievable...
No, I'm loving the language. Let's take a break.
Yes.
I wanted to ask a question. We'll take a break. I have two questions. And I also want to sing a bit more. So you stay with me. M.anifest, stay with me. This is the point of view. Tonight, we're celebrating, I don't know what word to use, different descriptions, but clearly an icon in our time, Daddy Lumba, who sadly died on Saturday. We're discussing his legacy with Frema Adunyame, my colleague here on Channel 1. M.anifest, that celebrated rapper and political philosopher friend of mine, Lloyd Amoah. Stay with us.
My name is Anis Hafor. I'm currently serving as the chairman of the Barstow Ghana. What I've noticed with Barstow Ghana is that we are introducing the American curriculum for the first time into the country. And the interest that I have in it is that we want to do something that's a little different.
At the Barstow schools, we believe that true education extends beyond traditional learning. It is about preparing our students to thrive in a globally interconnected world. Our Ghana campus embodies this philosophy by offering a rigorous curriculum aligned with our Kansas City home campus.
Our mission is to promote sound scholarship and to give symmetrical development to mind, body, and character.
Every day is packed with its own surprises. You never know which thrill is around the corner.
Feel good. Feel good.
Or how it will play out. There's a sense of excitement.
Did our plane just stop? Another cash out.
That adds a little magic to my everyday.
Feels like a party tonight.
The Presec Old Boys Association proudly presents Conversations Under the Baobab Tree 2.0, an Odadie National Dialogue. This year, we tackle a topic that touches every Ghanaian towards a holistic approach to agriculture in Ghana. Join us on Wednesday, 30th of July at exactly 6 p.m. at the EcoBank Head Office Auditorium. Come hear from one of Ghana's most celebrated farmers, Odadie James Boating, 2018 National Best Farmer, delivering the keynote address. Meet the speakers, Odadie Professor Felix Ankoma Asante, Pro-Vice Chancellor of Research at the University of Ghana. Beacon Sheila Cornelius, Managing Director of Cornelius Farms and CEO of Lawn Naturals. Odadie Dr. Ernest Esiedu, Agricultural Transformation Specialist at IITA. Odadie Kwame Asaria Mwakohene, Managing Director of CTA Engineering Ghana Limited. And Odadie Dr. Henry Enim Sumwa, Director of Operations, Agromite Limited. Let's rally together under the Baobab tree and chart a new course for Ghana's agricultural future. Powered by Channel 1 TV and proudly brought to you in partnership with EcoBank. For more information, visit www.odadie.net. Illuminate videbimus lumen. In thy light, we shall see light. The general public is warmly invited. See you there.
The great Charles Kojo Fosu, Daddy Lumba, with a song that Frema chose for tonight, Min Saida. But this is like a remix, right?
Yeah, this is a remix.
Why did you choose this one?
You know, so for Min Saida, I think that everything we've been said tonight, you know, is in the song. As in, this is me, this is Lumba. No matter what you do, you can hate me, you can do this, but I am here. Men say that means, I say, it can't go wrong with me, you know. And for me, the latter part of this song, I reflect on it and it gives me my own growing up memories. You know, you look at where you have been, what you've gone through, where you find yourself today. Did you really believe you were going to be here? And then you can only reflect and be grateful. So that latter part, that's how I see it.
Wow.
The opening, he's talking about what his mother instilled in him. So, me mame eka kire me se me ba kojo fa uchimu fita nanti enti fiseria sidobia eduano eno na wobetwa. So even growing up, this is the advice that was given to him by his mother, that walk in this world with clear conscience, because whatever you sow, that is what you are going to reap. So he says that enti onam hono ompe obi abone, because of this thing that was given him, this mindset, mempe obi abone, enti mene o predien. Why are you doing all the things you are doing? Because I don't wish you evil. You know, is it because? So at this point, he's now moving to his love. Is it because of the love? Odoba is his former wife, you know. Many mama say wadu the otamfo bien to me say exactly. What the meaning na mefie and I will say midin, who did he must say, you know, backbiting, undermining, doing all that. Is it because of the love? You know, and then so he goes that, so you know,
So this is Kutia and love.
Everything and life journey,
in a Lumba pot.
being thankful to God, and this is Daddy Lumba.
Wow.
One song can have various themes.
Yeah.
So one verse he's talking about his mother's advice, his life principles. Another he's asking the haters a question: what is your issue with me? I don't care about you. I mean well for everybody. And then he goes on to now assuring his mother, you know. When a did that say ohiani bapa amesa obewo ama obebi enyini ama wabe your brain pong ama ni din afeti amansan nyina.
Wow.
Daddy Lumba manje anida. So shout about it.
Also the shout.
So the shout about it. That a lot of people where I come from, we say shafty body. You know, so we've not shafty body. We are shouting.
Shout about
exactly.
it.
So where we have come from, we are only grateful. So let's shout about it.
Amazing.
Exactly.
The song that many people will remember him for, of course, 98 was the Abenwaha.
Yes.
Which became very controversial. I remember there was even a GBC presenter who said the song should be banned or something.
Yes, because, you know, that Lumba is very daring.
Yeah.
So sometimes he throws the song at you and enjoy it. And the interesting thing is, we love it, but we weren't too ready for that level of explicit.
This is the song?
Exactly. And it also came with a dance.
What's the dance?
Oh, I mean, the favorite, you know. So the moment,
as
you
if
know,
I'm moving
exactly, you know, so exactly.
So this is 1998.
Yeah. So
I call this one the new Lumba, because after his gospel interregnum, he started doing this type of things.
He went all out because I'm sure at that point he realized that life is too short. You know, so whatever is in you, give it to the people. So he came back, and I mean, this was a shocker. But we loved it.
So I'll ask my other guys about this, because somebody was saying that Lumba sang our songs and he said things that we loved but couldn't say ourselves.
That's the whole idea.
Because
we didn't have the vim to say it. And I think after Abenwaha, a lot of musicians also took cue and also able to, you know, do stuff. And after this, Lumba was going to give us more, you know, so.
Yeah, but a lot of people felt the song was too profane.
Well, he's talking to adults, and I mean, he speaks in a quoted...
On first hearing,
yes, you don't know what he's talking about.
If you are not deep in the language, you didn't get it right.
You don't understand. Because he's talking about the fact that
it sounds something normal.
Exactly, it's very flat.
You have to think the second thought to get it.
Especially when it gets to you know.
Okay.
It's me ma comment no you know, so we don't need to cook anything.
Nobody didn't understand, but they just said it was bad, so they said it was a bad song.
I mean, what?
Let me ask my colleagues on the line. Prof. Lloyd Amoah, are you there, or you are enjoying Abenwaha? So, guys, can you look at the music? I want to hear Prof.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Where were you when this Abenwaha controversy was? This is 98, right? Do you remember who you were? And were you on the crucify him side, or you were on the allow him side?
Pardon me?
I said, when the Abenwaha controversy was raging, were you on the crucify him side, or you were on the allow him to express himself side?
No, I wasn't. I was, in a sense, you know, how would I be agnostic about it, you know? But basically, I was not surprised, because if you look at Ghanaian musical history, these things have always been there. I mean, there was Moses Abba. I think that was A.B. Krensel.
Yeah.
You know, you had Maunanso. I mean, as I was growing up, these things, the musicians have always pushed the envelope. These are mavericks. These are, I mean, don't forget, when this whole music thing started, actually the colonial authorities saw all of that as being about brigandage and being vagabonds and all of that, and tried to kind of squeeze it, you know. But it obviously was not going to happen, and here we are. So it's always been counterculture. It's always been, in a sense, its own, you know, if you like, it's lived in its own world and circulated in there, even though connected to the society and, in a sense, organically linked to it. So I was not surprised, and it will never end. You know, there's always going to be controversial lyrics and songs, and that's how they play. I mean, Bugger High Life came with a certain sartorial, I would say, inelegance. They had the jelly curls, activator dripping, they had pimpinis, you know, the trousers went up to the nipples, above it, with these big shirts. They had these shoes, leather shoes, 2-3 tones, wild, garish colors, and that was it. They did their thing, you know. So they are always on the, for want of a better description, on the periphery of so-called, you know, stiff, you know, of life, stiff, proper life, and that's it.
Yeah. M.anifest, what did you make of the controversy? And as a musician, when your songs caught controversy, how do you? I'm told Lumba didn't care. Lumba didn't care, but I don't know what. Putting yourself in his shoes, doing songs that people will sing happily, and yet some will criticize you about its vulgarity. What do you make of that?
I mean, it will be such a delightful victory for a musician to have something like that. It's an incredible victory. I mean, Lumba is a master of the double entendre, so it wasn't just that. I've been with Dr. Pani, like master of the double entendre, like he's good at it. So in a sense, it's such a it's such a victory, if nothing at all. It's like free marketing, but it also like the music penetrates. No pun intended, sorry. and then yeah, no, so incredible. And for generations after Lumba, if you look at the entire Ebony lore, that's based on things like Abiwa. Every Ebony song is about that kind of double entendre that you know, Daddy Lumba did. So no, it's an incredible feat that where he didn't have to come and over explain or explain tire, as we say in these modern times. But you know, he just did the music. It was creative. It was even far from vulgar, because the idea that even children who don't understand it will be jamming to it but don't actually understand it is actually another creative victory as well. That shows his genius, his creative genius, and his extraordinary lyricism.
Wow.
You know, Frema is doing an incredible, by the way, shout outs to you, Frema. You're doing an incredible job. Yeah, you're doing an incredible job explaining everything, and I think it really goes to it. And yeah, and he just had such a sense of connectivity, how to connect to people. Like even the shout outs he gives in songs, it's incredible. It's like, it's almost like it's part of to make it even conversational. Yeah. And then this, my friend Charles, whatever, and then Anuma is mentioning how Nana Pedu and him had some conversation. It's just incredible. I mean, because I'll just say one last thing in that regard, deviating slightly. For somebody who was such an incredible lyricist, he had other skill sets he used to make the connectivity still high, so that it wasn't like, oh, it's just Abebu and then all this whatever. So some of these things where he makes it conversational, references to people, and just like melody, like a certain kind of melody, even sometimes how the women back again, all these things, he used all these skills to make the thing connect and not have to dumb it down. His words, his lyrics were still incredible. His lyricism was top notch. He never dumbed it down, but he found ways to make sure that the connectivity was still there. And as somebody who comes from the lyricist tradition, I really respect and admire that. And I think a lot of us can learn a lot from that.
Wow. Look, we could go on all day. I'll take final thoughts on Lumba, and then we'll call it a night, because we can't do everything in one night. So, Frema, so for you, where does it sit for you in terms of music? Because of course he was not global in the sense of like Osibisa. This is Ghana, maybe some West Africa, and maybe Ghanaians in the diaspora. So he wasn't the Michael Jackson. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So for me, you know, you don't have to be the Michael Jackson. You don't have to be the Bob Marley. You don't have to be the global. I would say that if you have about 30-something million people who know you very well, who hail you, who worship you. I mean, we literally worship Daddy Lumba. Lumba does no fault in anybody's eyes, you know, and that is how come he can do a political song for you, and then in, I mean, that same period, he's doing another one to say Jack, you know. So, and it is only Daddy Lumba who can do that.
Yeah.
So that Lumba will do na 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 your winner, and then will come back and say, no, the way the thing is going in there, and they come back to say no, I feel the nane. You know, no, I mean, it will take Daddy Lumba, and look at the chronology of the release, you know, and then same way. He would do here in Ethiopia at a time when there are social issues for John Mahama to go to Kumasi of all places to go and play here in Ethiopia. So now you play here in Ethiopia and everybody thinks that it is a John Mahama song. You know, so this is Daddy Lumba. And you never find Daddy Lumba explain himself to anyone.
Ever.
He's a legend. For me, Lumba is not here, but we should not let his work die.
Wonderful.
It is something that we are not good at as a nation. Nana Mpedu died. We've not done so much with Nana Mpedu's songs. Nana Tufo died. We've not done a lot with Nana Tufo's songs. Lumba is gone. With everything we are saying today, are we just going to sit down and then in the next 10 years, we are looking for Lumba music and we are not finding? I think we need to be conscious as a nation to preserve some of these works. Lumba in my world is irreplaceable.
Wow.
M.anifest was struggling trying to, and I understand, I mean, where he is going to be difficult. But for me, I think that we have great musicians in Ghana. We have talented musicians in Ghana. But I will not compare anybody to Lumba because I think he has left big shoes that would take forever or a very long time for somebody to fill.
Lloyd Amoah, I'll give you a minute and I'll give M.anifest the last word. Prof, what's your final thoughts on Lumba?
Well, I put him in the pantheon of Ghanaian greats.
Okay.
He made his mark. He came with his uniqueness. But this our country is a unique one with fascinating people, highly creative, intelligent, and to have been able to make music for Ghanaians who are in many ways very tasking when it comes to music, because we've gifted the world a lot. I mean, Fela himself borrowed from us. His drummer, Allen, was Ghanaian, half Ewe. So to have made music for Ghana over that long durée and to have left his mark is enough. But he's fundamentally part of a pantheon. And I bet my last peswa, down the line, there'll be other greats. This is Ghana, remember. Gaviite, Nkrumah, and all the greats. That's Ghana.
Wonderful.
And that's what I'll say.
M.anifest, you are the musician, so I'll give you the last word on Lumba.
Well, he was very prophetic in his music, so there's nothing I would say that he hasn't said. Okay, and he told us that say that and everything. And he incredible contributions, as everybody has said. I think the music will live on, and I dare say that the height of Lumba's fame and infamy has not actually been reached, because I think he's made great music. He's the rare case where the legend and the mystique and the actual output of the music meet and it works.
Wow.
He was a hit maker, but he had the lyricism. So I think posterity is going to be very kind to him, and I think we're all very grateful for what he contributed. And now, as Prof said, I mean, hopefully his contribution also spurs different trees and branches that his DNA will not leave us anytime soon. Yes.
Thank you, M.anifest. Thank you, Professor Lloyd Amoah. Thank you, Frema. And as I'll say, Makramo, this is a song Lumba sang.
Baby, I'm not a free. What's my bow?